not playing Miracles. I'm playing Reanimator. And then he lost. So if you're Joe, you're just like, oh no, what am I doing? Why did I do this? I just should have done what I always do. I'm so good at it. It's how I always win. It's how I even got here. But no.
And this is funny because I saw Kent do this to Logan also. The stop. Got something to do on your first turn, and it's happening again.
Gemstone Caverns is in the house. Cataxian Probe is going to see exactly what Joe is up to. You'll see a Brainstorm here. There's a Gristlebrand Sire of Insanity in the hand, along with 2 copies of Polluted Delta.
Hand needs a little bit of help, but Brainstorm can clean up this hand kind of nicely. Gemstone Cavern is an oddball in a block that featured a lot of oddballs.
Well, Logan is not messing around. You want to play dirty, huh? I'll play dirty.
Whoa. And he's doing this into the face of a hand that normally one would think is pretty durable against the card Show and Tell.
Logan, Cataxian Probe. All right, tough guy. I'll show you. And he does have an Evercool in his hand. He also has, he has Omniscience, too. This is completely ludicrous. The opening hands that we have seen so far in Legacy have been mind-blowing. And yeah, I guess I'm going to Brainstorm? Yeah, Logan with fingers crossed. Joe's going to draw 3 cards. We'll have to put 2 back, hoping one of them is not Force of Will.
But even if it is Force of Will, not the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, he can still play Magic, but I do like Logan going for it, seeing if the coast is clear. I think Joe did actually find a copy of Force of Will. I guess the question is, did he find a blue card to go with it? No way.
Welcome to Legacy.
Absolutely. Where the games are over quick and they are brutal. Omniscience is in, as is Gristlebrand, and now Emrakul will take an extra turn. What a draw here for Logan Mize. With his back against the wall in an elimination match, his deck coughed up the best it could do.
Who da?
Yeah, Joe just, what can he even do?
Who da lally?
Logan Mize wins game number 1 here over Joe Lossett. Omnitel is up a game over Reanimator. Trust me, we'll have time to go to Duke versus Donegan. We can promise you that.
So, I got to watch the feature match last round between Tom Ross and Reed Duke. I thought that one was over pretty quickly and pretty explosively. Doesn't have anything to do with this game.
No.
I mean, not even close.
You see Joe kind of raising his eyebrows. He's like, all right, my draw was pretty good, but your draw was a little bit better. As we take a look at the sideboards here, we will start with Lossett. His 2 Pithing Needles, a Ratchet Bomb, 4 copies of Abrupt Decay to go along with a Tropical Island to help cast that, 2 copies of Bayou, 3 Thought Seizes, an Iona, and a copy of Coffin Purge. What do we like there?
I really like the discard spells, the 3 copies of Thoughtseize, of course, and Iona is a great reanimation target against a essentially mono blue combo deck.
Logan Mize's side, what do we see?
2 copies of Defense Grid, 4 Leyline of Sanctity, 2 copies of Sudden Shock, a Through the Breach, and Enter the Infinite, an Overmaster, a Pyroclasm, a Show and Tell, a Void Snare, and a Beseju who shelters all. I like bringing in the 4th copy of Overmaster in this matchup. Joe's likely to fight with a little bit of counter spells. Past that, Leyline of Sanctity is okay if you're anticipating Joe having some discard spells, but I would keep his main deck mostly intact. You had to err on the side of doing that with these combo decks anyway, because so much of your deck is either engine or cantrips, so the opportunity cost to sideboard anything is pretty high.
That game. They're both laughing. Like, it's pretty hard not to, given that the game lasted a turn.
Well, your opponent Cataxian probing you, seeing Gristlebrand and Sire of Insanity, and then playing Show and Tell, not something you see very often.
No, not at all. But Logan had it. He had what is basically the perfect hand, just hoping that Joe missed with his Brainstorm, and Joe missed just enough. He found a Force, but he didn't find another blue card, though.
And that's one of the incentives of playing Omnitel is there's a lot of matchups where the card Show and Tell is a little harrowing. You're in a Show and Tell mirror match. Sometimes you're playing against a deck with Caracas in it, and you are trying to win with these legends. It can be a little tricky. But with Omnitel, you can just win the game in 1 turn. And that's a dimension that decks like Show and Tell, you have to go through some hoops. You have to put in Sneak Attack and then Sneak Attack something into play. A little bit trickier. But with Omnitel, much more straightforward to just win the turn that you play Show and Tell.
Well, let's learn a little bit more about both of these players. We'll start with Joe Lossett, the Miracle Mastermind, 35 years of age, from Redlands, California, the only player on the West Coast able to make the Players' Championship. He loves to stream, and he loves to spin miracles.
Now, he did a lot of his work on the IQ circuit, but still some very good finishes, an invitational top 8 this year, a variety of Open Series wins over the last couple of years, 2 of them in Standard, not a format Joe's typically associated with.
Main deck Pyroblast and Miracles, and you mentioned it. I bet he wishes he had those right now.
Well, it wouldn't have done much good there because he died on the first turn.
That's true.
So
There is that.
Joe can at least counsel himself with the fact that he would have needed Force of Will to have any prayer there game 1.
As far as Logan Mize is concerned, the Florida player did a lot of damage in the IQs as well. You know, we have started to see him a little bit more. He's known for playing blue strategies, and he's doing a really nice job of it right now up a game with Omnitel.
And an unorthodox deck, we saw a lot of this a couple years ago, but it's really receded. I mean, show and tell strategies in general feel like they've gone down in representation, but Omnitel feels like a subset of show and tell. Sneak and show is the deck you typically see.
It's powerful. When it is firing on all cylinders, it is very, very powerful.
Now, Logan touching a little bit of red here. He has Overmaster and 4 copies of Burning Wish. So not quite mono blue, but definitely base blue.
Well, it's time for game 2 in just a moment. Your players are done sideboard, and they'll shuffle up, and we will see if we'll play more than a turn then. That's the goal, more than one turn. Well,
Joe
maybe
even
it's
had
not.
his Gemstone Cavern. He had interaction,
Yeah.
as it were, on turn 0 from his side, but still not enough.
You see behind Lossett, Reed Duke and Dylan Donegan doing battle. When we do have updates for you guys of that match, we will certainly let you know. Duke playing Miracles, Donegan playing Blue-Red Delver. Loser of that match out of the tournament. Same thing here. If Lossett picks up another loss, his tournament is over.
Those two players back there playing the 2 decks that they had the most invitational success with. Reed, the runner-up in Season 3 with Miracles, and Dylan just last weekend in Seattle winning the Season 4 Invitational.
You have to imagine Joe will be playing first here momentarily, and we'll see what he. We'll see.
Yeah,
what,
I think so.
Yeah, we'll see what he can put together in just a second.
I like choosing to play in this matchup. I agree.
Like it's a freebie when you have the Gemstone Caverns, isn't that? Is that
The
is that
extra
how that
card,
works?
you know, there's an argument there.
Maybe he wants to go first, perhaps. Legacy is a delight.
Now, my understanding, I might have the story wrong, but Gemstone Cavern was a card that was submitted as an invitational card by someone who didn't win the invitational, but R&D liked the design enough that they basically put it into print.
I believe that is true.
I don't recall who. I feel like it was one of the Japanese pros, but I don't recall for sure.
Joe gonna very quickly mulligan. You see Logan's hand, 2 Brainstorms, 2 Lotus Petals, and Omniscience, and 2 lands. So, kind of a weird one, but this deck is definitely capable of opening up some weird ones. I think you probably have to keep it, though. Brainstorm's just that powerful. Plus, the lands are fetches.
You're going to have to keep some fuzzy hands with this deck and hope that the cantrips smooth it out.
Yeah.
I think Chalice of the Void has a similar story. I think Gary Wise submitted it one year as an invitational card, and for whatever reason, R&D really liked that one too, and it went to print.
I don't know what they're very different cards to like. I don't know why you would like Chalice that, but I can see liking Gemstone Cavern. It's a very cool card.
One card is weird and endearing.
Okay.
So it's okay. It's a mouthful. It's a little complicated, but it's kind of an endearing card.
Okay.
Chalice of the Void,
Are you saying that card's not endearing? Is that what you're saying?
it's less fun.
Okay. Well, it depends on who has it.
I don't know if a game of Magic has been made more fun by the presence of Chalice of the Void.
I think maybe the person who is playing with the Chalice would disagree with you.
Well, if you are in the fun is zero sum argument, which that's a totally legitimate argument.
The Glenn Jones argument.
We can talk for hours about that one. Glenn actually cribbed that argument from me.
Oh, wow.
Then Chalice of the Void is...
Well, I guess I owe you royalties. Pardon me.
Then Chalice of the Void is net neutral, just like every other human experience. But if you don't believe that, then it's probably net unfun.
Not a lot of Chalice of the Voids running around for this particular tournament. Wasn't sure if someone was going to play Mud or some sort of Chalice deck. Jeff Hoagland has been known for playing that kind of strategy. He would have been playing Death and Taxes this weekend had he been able to make it through the Legacy rounds.
Same deck that he played in Seattle last weekend.
Yeah.
He's been kind of taking a backseat here with Legacy play, focusing more on Modern and the IQs.
Joe is he's really good at busting sleeves right now, so he's going to have to replace another one. You want to make a bunch of money? Unbustable sleeves. I don't know if that's possible, but if it is, and you're looking
Well,
make a bunch of money, boom.
I don't know if it's a bunch of money because the goal is to sell multiple packets of sleeves to people.
Perhaps they're bustable on purpose. Here's a bloodstained fire.
I think that you're happy to price in a little bit of...
Faulty sleeves. I see
Yeah.
how your ethics go. I've got you all figured out, buddy.
Dude, I gotta make rent.
And now we have confirmation that the Gemstone Cavern, was Tyoshi Fujita's idea.
Aha.
A very smart man. Here's a careful study.
At least a creative man.
Fair enough.
I would not have come up with that design myself.
I can't design cards. as we've talked about many times, I just want Armageddon to be reprinted, and that's incorrect for so many reasons.
Well, that's developing the cards, which is a different challenge.
Okay, I suppose that's a different skill. Entomb and Iona are going into the graveyard. That's a good place for Iona. Logan draws a copy of Ponder. This is a Misty Rainforest. He'll sacrifice that, go down to 19. We'll see what land he wants to dig up here. He does have a small red splash, so it is possible for him to go get a Volcanic Island. That's exactly what he's going to do.
So Iona is really bad news for Logan if it comes into play, but it's not quite game over. He does have the ability to Burning Wish for Through the Breach, and that can allow him to kill someone.
Okay. He can get a little cute.
But I'm sure he would prefer for it to not enter play.
Let's see what Mize is going to ponder for here.
Well, he's got to dig really hard for Force of Will right now.
I mean, it's the real chance that he just dies.
Yes.
If Iona gets into play, it's basically lights out.
Yeah, as Through the Breach is an instant, that line of play is not actually available, and I do not believe there's another route to go here. Because there's one way to get it off the table out of the sideboard is a Void Snare. That doesn't work if Iona's set to blue.
Yep. Iona's the lock.
Unless he's just brought in the Through the Breach.
Which wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, in a show and tell mirror match, likely that it came in.
Gotta shuffle with the Ponder here. Now, what's actually kind of interesting about this is I wonder if Logan's going to play those Lotus Petals here or not. You know, we'll see what the mystery card is from Ponder in just a moment, but after that happens, he picked up a copy of Burning Wish. Is he willing to play Lotus Petal, 1 or 2?
Well, I like getting 1 out there at the minimum to put the fear into Joe that there could be some sort of counterspell. Spell Pierce or Flusterstorm, something.
Joe going to play a Bloodstained Mire. I mean, you're playing Reanimator. It's one way. That's the thing about this deck. I'm not bobbing and weaving in any nonsense. Look, I'm going for it. Is it good? Yes, no, maybe so.
Things in Legacy just tend to get worse for you as time goes on. So I think that a lot of people try to get fancy with these decks sometimes, wait to draw a discard spell to have some cover, or wait to draw a counter spell, but your opponent gets a lot of draw steps in it between their normal draw step and all the cantrips that are in these decks that I think you're best to just fire it off most of the time.
Bayou is searched up here by Lossett, and now it's an Animate Dead. That'll be targeting Iona. Logan, you have to imagine just going to fire for Brainstorm here and hope for the best. And I believe right now Joe actually does have Force of Will plus blue card in his hand, so it's going to make life very, very difficult here. Joe kind of explaining exactly what's going to happen with Animate Dead. It's got some old school wording.
Yeah, I believe it's Animate Dead Creature.
That's step 1. Here's Brainstorm. 3 cards coming from Mize. Is one of them a counter spell? Looks like the answer is no. So Logan's going to set some cards back. Brainstorm's done resolving. He says, yeah, that's good. There's Iona. Now, it's going to get -1, -0.
Right, because it's exhausted because it came out of the graveyard.
Correct.
Enchant Dead Creature. Take target creature, not really precise language, from any graveyard and put it directly into play under your control with -1, -0.
Treat of those are summoned. Doesn't have haste.
Yeah, it's summoning sick.
Okay? It's still sick. Doesn't get to attack.
It's not only summoning sick, but it's dead sick. That's what the -1, -0 is.
That's true. Oh, no. Updated version. But no, who wants to read that?
Not really that much clarity going on in this one, I gotta say.
The small font. That's how you know. It's a very confusing card.
The second line break, enchanted creature gets -1, -0.
Here's a Burning Wish. What you searching for, Mr. Mize? Must have something up his sleeve. Should be interesting here. Show and tell. Okay. We'll get confirmation that Iona is on blue. As Logan is very confidently just, yeah, I'm searching up show and tell. I'm not scared of you.
Well, it may be, even if Logan is drawing dead here or very close to it, there's some argument for play on as though you have something to get out of this.
Sure.
At least make Joe think that that's a possibility.
See, Mize at 12, Lossett's at 18. Yeah, it's on blue. So it looks like Joe is 2 attacks away. Get you? Yeah, I'm actually okay with this. You actually bring up a good point. Because like, it looks weird from watching and having the deck list, but, given that the information is hidden to the players, it's just, I'll just keep playing on. Maybe I draw Caracas.
There's nothing to be gained by conceding.
Yeah.
You get to see some cards out of Joe's deck regardless. And Joe may respect cards that aren't in your deck. Like you mentioned, Caracas is one of them.
No, it's smart. It's smart to keep playing there, which is exactly what Mize did do. He did lose, but that's fine as we play a third one here in just a moment. We're being told right now the match behind Joe Lossett, Reed Duke versus Dylan Donegan. Well, the Duke is back at it. He's up a game there over the youngster. Miracles up 1 over Blue Red Delver.
That's a matchup that's changed a lot with the printing of Treasure Cruise.
It's very close now.
Very interesting to watch. Before, I thought Miracle's decks had a huge advantage there. Now, not so much.
Tough to beat Reed when he's playing Miracles too in that sort of interactive matchup. Dylan, a great player, don't get me wrong, but I would be scared to be playing Blue Red Delver against Reed Duke playing Miracles. It just seems like a very tough road to climb.
Once you get out of the first couple turns of the game, there's a lot of Magic to be played on both sides. Matchup is very fluid. There's a lot of play to it, and no one more dangerous in the tournament than Reed Duke. I hear that Reed decided to fight dirty this weekend.
Yes, you were not here, but attempting to throw salt in the eyes of Tom Ross with a Peacekeeper. You mentioned your love for Peacekeeper briefly, just a very strange design.
Well, the fact that it has a point of power is really weird. Because the name Peacekeeper sort of implies this person's about, keeping the peace. Not a lot of reason for it to be on the offense. And then the mechanics of the card really do not lend itself to having a point of power.
Well, he's a human. He's ready to fight if necessary.
Yeah.
I think that's what's important. The fisticuffs are up, but he'll never punch.
Right now I'm keeping the peace, but this thing could turn into war at a moment's notice,
Yeah.
and I want to be ready to go.
Absolutely. I do wonder if there is a way, and I'm sure our Twitter followers do know, is there a way for Peacekeeper to get into battle when Peacekeeper's in play?
Humility, the answer to every horrible Magic interaction question.
Ah, yes, of course. Yeah. Quickly answered. I guess that's why it has a point of power.
Yeah. Well, Humility was printed in the very next set.
Yeah, and it would grant it a point of power. No, Humility. Yeah, no, it would do that anyway. Yeah, never mind. Perfect. Magic the Confusing.
Yeah.
Wonderful. It's a great game we play.
Is there a card that lets you do blah? The answer is often Humility. Or that prevents your opponent from doing blah.
I'm actually thinking now of the match I played against Joe in Seattle last year, where he had a Humility in play, and then he miracled and Treat the Angels, and I just stopped attacking with my goblins because I thought they were 4/4s, which was just not true. Whatever. And then after the match, Joe was like, "Why'd you stop attacking?" And I'm like, first of all, I thought for a brief moment that his Humility was a moat, which was wrong. And I was just like, "Why aren't you attacking?" He's like, "My Angels are 1/1s." I'm like, "Oh my God, Humility! Come on."
And that's actually a fairly simple Humility interaction.
It really is.
Which is just, what does Humility do?
Yeah.
That's all that one is.
Joe's like, "I miracled it for a bunch of Angels, hoping that you wouldn't notice." I'm like, "Yeah, well, you got me. Well done."
We've had some doozies with Humility over the years.
Yes.
The match where, BBD tapped out for it against Tom, thinking that it stopped Inkbot Nexus, which it doesn't because
Tom
of
just
layering.
Yeah, Tom just killed him.
BBD looks at the judge, didn't even think to ask, because why on earth would this card not stop Inkbot Nexus? Turns out that it doesn't.
The best is Tom just knowing. By the way, it's just Fire of Nexus, kill you. Is that how that works? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Oh boy.
I wonder where on the judge scale, like with Humility, like where is that how you get your level 2? You just have to know all the interactions Humility, or is that how you get from 2 to 3?
Well, appearing in the same block as Humility are the Lossets.
Oh boy.
And the Lossets are an entire encyclopedia of bizarre rules interactions.
Those don't make things any easier, do they?
No. I remember way back in the day when I was around people who were trying to rank up in judging that the level 3 rules test was essentially just humility, opalescence, and licit interactions. That's the whole thing.
Just write them out. Write an essay in a blue
Yeah.
book, and you're good.
In 2,000 words or less, explain how these cards work.
I'm being told right now by ZZZ Eagle on Twitter that you could Aether Vial in Peacekeeper and block.
Oh,
Thanks.
ooh.
After you attack, I have a surprise.
You're probably off just vialing in the Peacekeeper before combat, but the point stands.
That's neither here nor there. Sudden spoiling lets it attack as an O2. Duh. Can't respond, split second.
right.
Perfect. Boseiju among the cards here in Mize's hand. This is actually kind of a curious thing. He's got a Burning Wish, he's got a Petal, a Ponder, a Brainstorm, Flooded Strand, Ancient Tomb, and the Boseiju. Again, you'll drop some weird ones with this deck.
The problem here is this hand's pretty stable for Logan. There's a lot of cantrips and a Burning Wish to find things, but it's not breaking any 40-yard dash records.
No.
It's slow, and there's no Force of Will. So if Joe has an explosive hand, Logan might just die.
And Joe has built his deck in such a way that his deck is going to have more explosive hands than normal because of these 4 Gemstone Caverns.
Yeah, he could be facing, conceivably, Logan could be playing against a turn 1 Iona.
Yeah. But Joe does not stop him, so no Gemstone Cavern this go-around. Logan likely going to search up Volcanic Island here to have access to those blue cantrips plus Burning Wish, and there is the Volcanic Island. Joe does have a Reanimate in his hand, also a Force of Will over there, so he's got some important pieces. I'm going to start with the Ponder here, will Logan. So we'll take a look at the top 3. Emrakul, Omniscience, and Burning Wish. Those are interesting pieces to the puzzle. Burning Wish finds Show and Tell. Does make you wonder if how Boseiju works its way into the equation here.
Well, the line of play is Logan can next turn play Boseiju, the Lotus Petal, and Burning Wish, and then the next turn be able to have Boseiju active and the ability to cast Show and Tell.
Now, what's really interesting, too, and I can definitely see that line, is do you play the Boseiju first, or do you say Lotus Petal, Burning Wish, okay, that resolves, get Show and Tell, play Boseiju, go. Maybe hide it a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think in any case, he's going to want to just Burning Wish before the Boseiju gets played if he's not planning on casting Burning Wish through the Boseiju.
Okay.
He wants to conceal that information as long as possible. Because it's that old chestnut of, yeah, I'll let whatever you're getting resolve, and then I'll counter the thing you're getting. So Logan does not want to deploy that until he's using it to protect spells.
Well, mystery card coming from Ponder. So Logan did not like what he looked at. If there's a Lotus Petal, that'll provide him with potentially a little bit of defense, or at least the threat of it. Joe may be going to his discard. Okay. There goes Gristlebrand.
Doing it the old-fashioned way.
Absolutely. Gataxian Probe the draw. That's a pretty nice one.
Yep. I would want to see what was going on, too.
Take a little look-ski-poo. That'll show you a Force of Will, a Reanimate. Make it 2 Reanimates, and Exhume, and a couple of lands over there. So the problem with Force of Will here is no blue card to go along with it.
But Joe does have a very nice line of play here of just trying to brute force through the Gristlebrand. Even if he doesn't draw a blue card, if he does draw a blue card, it becomes very easy. He just goes, all right, Reanimate. Does it get countered? Okay, do it again next turn. Do it again next turn. We see that line out play at a Sneak and Show players all the time, but Joe might be able to do it with a Reanimator.
Might as well draw a card. It's a Lotus Petal. So let's see how he wants to move forward now. Could cast Brainstorm, could cast Burning Wish. He'll go with Brainstorm. 3 cards coming. Of course, 2 will have to go back, and he's found a Show and Tell among them, but nothing really to Show and Tell into play just yet.
And if he doesn't have a hand that can really win the game this turn, I think he's got to just dig for protection.
That's a tough spot here, to be sure.
Though there's something to be said for the fact that, Beseju here takes a lot of the sting out of Griselbrand, because the biggest threat from Griselbrand is Joe draws a bunch of counter spells, you can never get anything going.
Yeah.
So Logan still has potentially the opportunity to resolve a couple of spells here. The problem is that it's still pretty tough to beat 7 points of damage a turn, especially when the Beseju is also going to be taxing his life total.
Well, he's back. Didn't need the leather coat either.
The boss all the way through.
It was a horrible start. As bad as you could be, starting 0-3. But Infect is just taking down Chris Van Meter, playing Reanimator. For those who are a fan of the boss, he's into day 2.
And CVM now with a winning in / loser goes home match next round.
Preordain. Gonna scry 2 cards to the bottom, draw a mystery. There's Show and Tell. That's not a bad one to have.
And here's the thing, when you see someone cantripping like this, it generally means, in this kind of matchup, they don't have Force of Will and they're looking for it. So I think Joe is not going to hesitate next turn to just fire off one of the reanimates, especially because he has so much redundant reanimation in his hand.
There's a Lotus Petal. It's funny, Logan kind of, backdoors his way into casting Show and Tell this turn, but he's got nothing to put into play. So now he's probably stuck just brainstorming and hoping he's able to find a counterspell. So now he's going to use the Petal. See if he can figure something out here. Yeah, there's Brainstorm.
I mean, he can still brainstorm into Petal plus a thing to put into play.
Yeah, he can still just go off.
Yeah.
He's chicken like crazy. It's crazy to say he hasn't even played a land yet this turn. Puts 2 cards back with Brainstorm. Now here's a Flooded Strand. He's using Lotus Petals for mana. Joe has to sit there just with his hands together, just saying, don't kill me, I guess?
Joe's taken some long turns in his day. So, if his opponent needs a little while to figure out what he's doing, I think Joe can understand.
Steve Mann. In a day 2, just defeated Kent Ketter. Congratulations to him. Last player in to our Players' Championship, and he is making the most of it. He'll be playing tomorrow.
Very solid run through Standard, and then cruise through the Legacy portion. One of the 8 to advance tomorrow.
It's a ponder. Can he find Force of Will finally? He gets Shuffle, I guess. Gets one more look at it.
Yeah. The 12th redraw of the turn.
He's got a smile as he does keep going through his deck like crazy. Yep, shuffle it away.
Compelling and rich.
Like whatever he can do to stop Griselbrand from coming into play, that's his plan. It's funny, Joe's game action this turn was discard.
Yep.
That's it. That's all he's done so far.
Some unorthodox lines of play here in Legacy.
Ancient Tomb. Not with the Doctor Order.
And I believe Logan is Joe with the Storm Count dice.
Well, for Joe, I can't imagine not going for it. Yeah, there's Bloodstain. All right, he'll sacrifice that.
I mean, whatever. Logan's down to 4 cards in his hand, so even if it's Force of Will blue card, seems unlikely Logan can kill you next turn. You can try again with the reanimation spell.
Reanimate. Targeting Griselbrand. Is that okay, Captain Cantrip? It is. So the big guy's in play. And it might be feeding time for Griselbrand. Joe's at 11. He gets 1 activation. That might be all that he needs.
Though Logan's unlikely to be able to do anything about combat next turn.
Mm-hmm.
He has Burning Wish in hand. He can Burning Wish for Void Snare. And keep the fingers crossed that there's no blue card in the top 7. That's what we call long odds.
Joe, I think, trying to figure out if he wants to activate now or wait. I think in this instance you just wait, and you activate your opponent's turn so you don't have to discard anything. It looks like Joe's going to go right now.
Well, you know, there is some weird chance that there's something like wipe away that Joe really doesn't want to risk it, you know? I suppose stifle potentially, unlikely, but there's things that can go wrong here. You're going to be discarding lands and other reanimation targets, and if something happens when you draw 7, it just is so bad. So no reason to risk it.
You see the Forceful. He's had that for some time.
The risk here on the other side is Ancient Tomb, 2 Sudden Shocks, which are in the sideboard. But I think Joe should risk it here.
Are those... Okay, I thought you were joking. Those are actually.
He literally has 2 Sudden Shocks.
Okay, yeah, no, that's.
I highly doubt they're here.
No, yeah, I thought you were joking, but those are actually there.
It's the risk with this line of play. But I think a wipe away is more likely than. I'm just saying.
I mean, you want to talk about a best SCG Live moment?
Oh, that would be the best.
You can dial that right up. If that happened to knock him out of the tournament, oh my goodness, I don't even know what to say.
Sometimes it's just good beats.
Yeah. Joe looks like he's ready to discard some cards here after sculpting out a perfect hand. These players have just talked about the intensity of this tournament so much now. It's some of the most stressful matches they've ever played. Every decision is magnified, especially in a match like this where if you lose, you're done.
And what a weird run for Logan if it ends here, too. Just running into Reanimator twice.
Yeah. Keter and Lossett playing the same deck, and that would be the one that knocks him out.
A deck that typically has a very good matchup against other combo decks.
Yeah. Omniscience the draw. So now what's so weird about this situation is, are you supposed to just try to, all right, I hope you didn't draw a blue card, cast Show and Tell, or are you supposed to say Burning Wish, cast that, hope you don't have a blue card, and Void Snare your creature? Like, which one is the bait, I guess, is the question.
There is a chance of just running off some perfect cards here with a Brainstorm and being able to be even Force of Will. And things are so bleak now for Logan that I want to do the high-risk, high-reward play.
We could also be kind of through the back door here, right, too, where he casts a Burning Wish, Joe lets it resolve, and Logan goes and gets Overmaster.
Yep.
And that can try to push through Show and Tell to put Omniscience into play. Now, no guarantee he wins if that works, but that might be a way for him to maybe get back into this one, because he's in a world of trouble right now. And he's definitely got to get a little creative to work himself out of this. Quick update for you guys in our backup match that, again, we're hoping we have time to jump over to, is this particular game has slowed down quite a bit, even though they're on turn 3. Dylan Donegan and Reed Duke are going to game number 3.
Well, if you look at the number of spells cast, it's closer to a 6 or 7 turn game.
Yeah. It's really funny that this is actually Logan's 3rd turn of the game. He's got a tough Brainstorm to resolve.
And when you get in this spot, all the decisions are magnified, too, because the loser's done.
Yeah. No, it's unbelievable pressure. You don't want to get this wrong.
I mean, I've never seen the level of hesitation and indecision from Tom Ross when he had to play against Jim Davis a couple rounds ago.
Tom Ross missed a scry.
He missed a scry.
That's not a thing that happens. Misty Rainforest. Logan gonna go a little bit lower. See what land he wants to search up here. He'll get an island. He's down to 15. You see the life totals here, 4 to 15 in favor of Mize right now. But it's not really about life totals at this point. It's about what's on the board. And Joe's got the best thing going. Preordained now. Joe getting the storm counter. Such a nice guy. Scry 2 to the bottom, Beseiju the draw.
Are you getting water?
You mentioned it, Gristlebrand does such a nice job of preventing you from being able to do some things, but Beseiju can actually power you through what the big plan is with the animator, which is, yeah, I'll just draw some cards and force will your next 2 spells, and that should be good enough.
Well, the problem is he's looking at taking a hit this turn and then a hit the following turn because Beseiju comes into play tapped, and then he doesn't have enough life to pay for a Beseiju activation.
Beseiju is quite costly. That much is to be sure. Would it be too good if it came into play just untapped? Probably, actually.
I think so. I also think it's one of those designs where you don't want people getting surprised by it. You want there to be there a turn of anticipation or preparation.
Yeah.
Although the other side of that argument is, screw Counterspell guy. He's gotten the best of it for 20 years,
That's true. Why don't I get something?
But I prefer it coming to play tapped.
It's 11-8 now in favor of Lossett. Reanimating creatures this weekend, not putting creatures on the bottom via Terminus. For what I imagine is the first time all year. Polluted Delta. A lot of cards in hand. You see the Force of Will and a blue card. There's an Exhume there too. Probably wondering if he's supposed to draw now or wait. He's going to wait this go around. Pass the turn back over to Mize. Mize will draw cards, copy Misty Rainforest. You mentioned Besage's a turn too slow.
Ancient Tomb about to get shut off as well.
Mm-hmm.
And even the fetch land is a point of damage. So Logan just kind of working with the mana he has in play.
I don't think Logan has much, if anything, going on in his hand right now. You can see it. Looks like 3 lands. Besage's, one of those. Here's Show and Tell. I would be very surprised if Joe lets this resolve. Logan with 4 cards. You see the omniscience he just brought forward.
And Logan's hand is about as bad as it can get.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe doesn't know this, and it still makes all the decision-making very challenging. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple cards drawn here. Even if Joe already has Force of Will, just to optimize his decision-making.
Free roll's probably not the right term to use, but I think it's just better to draw 7 than not to.
You want to be armed with as much information as possible. Also, Joe plays with Daze,
Okay, sure.
so this is not a bad spot to cash in Daze.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, looks like he's probably going to brainstorm too. This is interesting because this is kind of like the mechanics of Miracles now, where he wants to get into as much of his deck as possible before actually making a decision. So this is actually something he's, oddly enough, pretty familiar doing.
Yep. Play patterns can still be pretty similar.
He can put 3, draw 3, put 2 back, cast Brainstorm again, which means the next card that you see down, the third card you see down, is a new one, and then he can make as informed decision as possible, which is all he wants to be doing right now. There's Force of Will. Removing it looks like a careful study. So Show and Tell is countered. Besage's gonna come into play. If you're Joe, that's probably relief because it doesn't do anything given the situation. That could have been bad news for him a lot earlier, though.
There were some lines of play available to Logan. I think they would all have been too slow.
I think so too. Joe gonna cast another Brainstorm here. 2 cards are going back here in a moment. For those of you wanting to watch Game 3 of Donegan versus Reed Duke, that match has been put on hold. We'll be jumping over there just as soon as this one is over. As the set looks like he's working his way towards finishing this one off. In what were 2 extremely fast first couple of games. This third one taking a little bit longer because the players do not want to go home. Want to make sure they get every decision correct, give themselves the best opportunity to win. As Brainstorm is done resolving, Lossett will untap those 3 permanents. Perhaps an Entomb on upkeep? Absolutely. Sire of Insanity going to go down into the graveyard?
My goodness. Probably not a 1-card kill here that Logan's deck can offer up.
Nope. Joe just wants to make sure that he's got Logan locked out of the game. Daze the draw, Gristlebrand into the red zone. Mize is going to go down to 1. Lossett up to 9.
You know, it's the old draw 14, discard your whole hand to sire.
Ever heard of it?
Conventional play pattern here.
Drop. Exhume. Logan looks at his omniscience and a couple of cards in his hand. Logan checking his graveyard for a creature. We know there's not one down there.
Yeah, no Emrakul.
Yeah, weird. Sire from Sanity Trigger's going to go on. It's time for both players to discard their hands. There they go. Logan will get one more draw step for his tournament. And that is going to do it. Joe Lossett is going to win this game and this match. He is still alive. For Logan Mize, the player from Tampa, Florida, his tournament is over.
Joe still in, you know, another elimination.